Good morning, everyone. Here's part two of the Ukrainian update for the 3rd of September. I might do a China update a little later, but it's also College Football Saturday, and I'm an enormous college football fan, so it might be tomorrow, but we'll see what happens. Now, there's been widespread reports of Russia mobilizing prisoners to fight against the Ukrainians. We already knew that. There have been reports of prisoners dying. They've been identified and they came out of prison camps. So it's unfortunate the choice they would have to make. Do I stay in a Russian prison or do I go fight on the Ukrainian front line and potentially die? I would probably pick the Ukrainian front line and then just try to escape. I don't know how well their control is in that scenario, but they're now looking to mobilize people coming out of homeless shelters. So in St. Petersburg, authorities went to a homeless shelter to recruit for the war in Ukraine. There's flyers that were left, etc. Unfortunately, it's not necessarily just an ask. They're finding people and they're starting to torture them. They're putting them in hot rooms, keeping them without air conditioning in very hot rooms until they sign papers to join. So it becomes do I stay here and get tortured and continuously for however long, or do I go potentially fight a professional military in Ukraine that is Western equipped with Western intelligence and is more motivated to kill me than really I am to go kill them. So clearly Russia's lacking personnel to wage this war, and they don't want to dip into their general public, their people that are the average people in St. Petersburg or Moscow, because that would turn the tide of opinion. The Russians and the Kremlin are more than happy to use rural outside oblasts and states basically to fill their military ranks, use inmates, use proxies out of Syria, Wagner Group, and now homeless people. So the disenfranchised are being disproportionately affected by this war, as with most wars that come about. However, this is a significantly nefarious step. Every time I think that we've reached the limit of Russian depravity, they push it a little further. So moving on, a Russian independent polling organization, Levada, posted its survey results on whether Russian citizens support the war or not. 76% of Russians have a favorable view of the actions in Russia, with 46% strongly supporting it. Now, this is down from 53% originally, but not enough for it to make any difference or move the needle on the Kremlin wanting to limit or stop the war. So 48% of Russians believe that it is necessary for these operations to continue to secure the future of Russia. So again, this is not the Kremlin dragging its people along. I'm not saying that they aren't being fed misinformation, but the Russian people support this. They support what's going on. They aren't stupid. They see the atrocities. VPN usage in that country is at its highest level ever, so they are getting access to the more unbiased non-Russian news agencies and still continue to support it. So when I say this is not just the Kremlin, it's Russia writ large, it's the Russian people supporting this, that's what I mean. So Russian President Vladimir Putin reiterated his false framing of Russia's unprovoked invasion of Ukraine as a defensive operation to protect Russia during a meeting with school children in Kaliningrad. Putin said that it was this purpose of the special military operation, which is just the most fucking asinine thing to say. I'm sick and tired. When I see fucking Americans say special military operation, I want to punch you in the fucking face. So that's the dumbest shit. This is a war. Framing it as such is like the most childish, immature bullshit I've ever heard. I'll get off my fucking irritated soapbox there. So basically they're trying to continue to indoctrinate the children. Obviously, this is something that continues. It's harder in Kaliningrad because the influence of surrounding European nations is present there. So he's putting particular focus there to ensure that the future of Russia remains in his thought process. He also being Vladimir Putin, extended his deadline for Russian forces to capture the Donetsk Oblast from August 31st, which obviously passed and he didn't do it, to now September 15th, which is just as unlikely. There's just really no way for them to do that in the current situation. Now the Russians are redeploying forces, but they're still having to deal with this offensive from the Ukrainians in Kherson in the south. So I just don't foresee them doing this in the next, 12 days from now. It's just not going to happen. And I don't know how many times Putin's going to be able to move this date without just being completely fucking embarrassed. Not that he cares. Anyone who goes against him is obviously dealt with. So moving on, the EU commissioner said that the European Union is well prepared in the event of a total halt of Russian gas deliveries, thanks to their storage capacity and their energy-saving measures. Russian gas giant Gazprom said on Friday that the Nord Stream pipeline linking Russia to northern Germany, which is due to resume service on Saturday after a three-day interruption, would be completely stopped until the turbine is repaired. Now, Siemens Energy, who makes the turbines, has said that the Nord Stream 1 gas pipeline has available parts and that they have not been contacted for any kind of potential repairs. They said that they've pointed out several times that there is enough additional turbines to replace the compressors for Nord Stream 1 to operate. So obviously this isn't about maintenance, it's about them trying to shut off gas to freeze out the Europeans for the winter, but it's largely going to be unsuccessful because it seems like the Europeans have been prepared for this. A lot of that thanks comes from the US, who found ways to push a lot of natural gas. Also, a lot of European countries found alternatives in places like Algeria and other countries to help them, etc. So it looks like going into the winter season, Europe, it's not going to be cheap by any means, but they won't freeze to death, thankfully. So moving on, Russians paid their final respects to the last leader of the Soviet Union, Mikhail Gorbachev, in a ceremony held in Moscow. There was long lines to visit him, but Vladimir Putin was notably absent. Putin was never a fan of Gorbachev and places much of the blame on him, wanting to westernize the country for the fall of the Soviet Union. Russian state TV is universally panning his wishes to integrate the Western world and criticizing him for his efforts to do such while praising Putin. Surprise, surprise. Belarusian President Lukashenko touted at a youth forum that they have manufactured the first computer in the country's history. The problem is only 12% of the computer's parts are Belarusian, which he then claimed would soon change. Yeah, sure. A senior Russian oil executive has died after falling out of a window. This is like the 13th or 14th dude that's fallen out of a window in the last 3 or 4 years. That's an executive or a political dissident or some sort of anti-Putin person. And their fucking windows, I don't know, are they made in Russia? Clearly they are, because they're failing at a very high rate. More than likely, he's just fucking tossed out of a window. He was the chair of the board of directors for Lukoil, which is Russia's largest private oil company, and he apparently fell from a window at a Central Clinic hospital. Now, weirdly, Lukoil's official press release said he passed away from a severe illness. The severe illness of getting fucking stopped by the ground as you fall from a window. Just very weird situation. The Russians are terrible liars despite doing it all the time. But another executive who was critical of the war in Ukraine has apparently died in a suicide. So Monday began the school year for Russian-occupied portions of Ukraine, including Mariupol. It was an unmitigated failure, as nearly all children stayed home, with the exception of the 1st and 11th grade, which were forced to go to school so they could listen to lessons in which they will be taught to love Russia. It's always a good tactic to be taught to love a country by force as an entire grade level. Sorry, I had when my kids came in the door. So anyways, that's all I have for this update. Have a good rest of your weekend. And if you're watching football today, enjoy it. It's one of the great things about America is college football, and go Boise State.